solving equations to find the missing angle measures. So we're going to follow the same steps as before, but we're also going to find the missing angle measure. So first, what type of relationship is shown here? We see this little square, so we know together these angles need to equal 90 degrees. This shows a complementary relationship. We also know these two angles are adjacent. They're sharing this side here and this vertex. Now our equation, we have the angle we know, 44, and the angle we don't know, together needing to equal 90 degrees. We would then solve for x. We get rid of our constant, subtracting 44 from both sides, and we find that x equals 46. That means this measurement here, the missing angle measure, is 46 degrees. And we could check our work. 44 and 46 give us a total of 90 degrees, or a right angle. Remember, complementary corner. In our next example, we have two angles that if we were to put them together would make a straight line. This is an example of supplementary angles, supplementary straight. We know supplementary angles add up to a total of 180. Because these angles are not touching, they are non-adjacent. The equation to solve for our missing angle, we have the missing angle and 70 plus 70 equals 180. We would then solve for x using inverse operations. So the inverse of adding 70 is to subtract 70. We need to keep it balanced. Whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. And we get that x equals 110. This means the missing angle measure is 110. This looks like an obtuse angle. Obtuse means more than 90. Our answer was more than 90, so that's a good sign. Again, we could check our work. 110, if we plug it in for x, plus 70 does equal 180. Our next example is looking at two angles across from each other. We know two angles across from each other are vertical. We know that vertical angles are equal. Vertical angles can never be adjacent. They're non-adjacent because they can't be next to each other. They're across from each other. To solve, we know that 3x equals 45. So if we're looking for the missing angle measure, the missing angle measure is 45. Our work is done there. There's two different ways they could ask this type of question. What's the missing measure? Or they could also ask you to solve for x. X in this case is being multiplied by 3. The inverse is to divide by 3. So x equals 15. We have two different answers here. The value of x to make our angle measure 45 is 15. The measure itself is 45 degrees. Use this information in the video to try the independent practice. Our first step, we want to find if our angles are complementary, supplementary, or vertical. We also want to find if they are adjacent or non-adjacent. And lastly, we want to solve for the variable and missing angle measure. So each box should have 3 answers.